Okay, hi everyone. My name is Jess Beutler. I am the program director for OpenStreetMap US. You haven't heard me introduce myself this time already today. I'm going to talk very briefly. I'm going to try to rush through this. One of the other programs that we are running, this one is near and dear to my heart, and that is mapping for impact. So OpenStreetMap US started this program 2 years ago now. Where we are working and partnering with nonprofit, government, and other organizations here in the United States to address civic, environmental, and social justice issues with OpenStreetMap. If you've been hanging out in this room this morning, you've seen amazing use cases of how OpenStreetMap has addressed these causes, especially around the world. And this has been done in the US as well, particularly at local community group levels. Map Time Be More, Code for Charlottesville, those are just some examples of local groups who have done this effort really well. But we needed to be able to address this at a national and broader level. So we created Mapping for Impact to partner with these types of organizations. And so actually a few years ago, Kaboom, a national nonprofit, reached out to us. So Kaboom, if you've seen Parks and Rec, you've seen them featured on that show. But they are working to end place-based inequity across the U.S. A lot of under-resourced communities don't have access to playgrounds or sport courts, or if they do, it might be of inequitable quality. So they came to us and they asked what we thought was a very simple question. They asked if we could map every playground in Philadelphia, because they needed to know this data for their work. Beauty of maps is when you know where things are, you know where they're not. And so they needed to know where these missing gaps were in Philadelphia neighborhoods to address these issues of equity. And so we said, yeah, let's try it. And so we did. We put up a task on the tasking manager and made a call out to volunteers. And in just 6 weeks, we mapped, over 3,000 play spaces across Philadelphia. And that data was used immediately by Kaboom to be able to identify where they were going to address those issues and put quality play spaces in these underserved communities. And Kaboom was really excited about what we were able to do as a community. And so they reached out again, but for Colorado. So they said, hey, we want to do this again. We're partnering with Colorado Health Foundation on a project. Can you map playgrounds across 3 counties in Colorado, mostly rural areas, because this data didn't exist anywhere. And in a handful of weeks, once again, almost 2,000 parks and play spaces, our community was able to map, and that data is going into the Colorado Equity Atlas. So that data is immediately being used for these entities to be able to address issues of health equity in the state of Colorado. Another partner that we have been working with is Rising Tide Effect. So they are working on water safety and access to swimming pools and swim training in New York City. So they came to us, they had a bigger ask. They said, can we map every swimming pool in the United States? I said, okay. That'll take a while. But we wanted to focus on one area. They work largely in New York City. And that is a place where nobody knows how many swimming pools there are. And we're not just talking about residential, we're talking about public, private as well. And in their case, they needed to know where all these swimming pools exist, similar to the playground challenge, so that they can identify areas where the city needs to be working to address these access issues. In particular, in New York City, communities of color and communities that are low income are at the highest risk of drowning. And so this is a huge issue for the city. If you're familiar with Rockaway Beach, that has numerous drownings there. And Rising Tide Effect works in those communities to address this. So this is data that they really need to advocate for their work. So yeah, like I said, this is a bigger task. We're doing this one in 2 phases. One, mapping all of the pools from remote imagery. But then the second one, this is going to be the next phase in the future, is actually get people on the ground and getting that detailed data of sizes of pools, and even capturing indoor data for the city. We're almost there. We've been working on this task for a while. I I did not realize how many swimming pools were in New York City, way more than I thought. We've already mapped over 40,000 swimming pools in the city. So very quickly, this is going to be the most comprehensive data set to help with these challenges in New York City. We're 97% complete. I would love if we could get to 100% by the end of this conference. I'm going to take one of the birds of a feather spaces later this afternoon. And if you want to come map swimming pools with me, I would love that. Let's get this to 100% and say that we did it together this weekend. But I do want to shout out, most of these swimming pools have been done by one mapper in Uganda, which is the beauty of our data. But so what's next? Of course, continue to grow partners. We have a couple partners in the works for new projects. And swimming pools and playgrounds all feel like kind of one category, but we're expanding. We would love to expand that, especially issues of environmental concern. So if you know partners in the United States that could benefit from the OpenStreetMap community creating this data for them, please reach out. We'd love to bring on new partners. Kaboom and Rising Tide Effect, we're going to continue those partnerships as long as they need data. Both those organizations have fallen in love with OpenStreetMap and the power of this community. But then finally, the third one, and this is a real call to action to this community. I want to make sure that we're, as an organization, enabling local mappers to be making these connections and these partnerships. So you have local small nonprofits in your hometowns that could use this data. It's not going to be me reaching out to everyone. So I would love to develop a more decentralized way where we can connect with these partners, and I can help with that as well. So if you have ideas on partners or how we can build out maybe community toolkits or decentralize these connections, please reach out. I would love to connect with you and make a stronger impact with OpenStreetMap. So thank you.
Okay. Question? Yes.
Great. How the Boom folks and the Pool Network folks, how do they know?
Great question. Okay, so Kaboom, I honestly don't know. It was a cold email. Kaboom is a very large organization. They benefit from having a GIS team. That is one challenge that I did address in this presentation. Is a lot of nonprofits organizations, they don't have a GIS person. They don't have someone who use that data. So that's another need we have, is having people who can help with that. So Kaboom, I think they were already pulling that OSN data, recognized that needed to be built out better. And so, but for Rising Tide Effect, it was a random conference connection, right? Someone saying, hey, would you guys map pools? And that's how I built that there. So, great. Thank you. Yeah.
Other questions? Monica?
US Foundation evaluate whether it is not the scope of the project. I mapping the swimming pool for the whole US is not. It's a no-go for it's too big. Like how is
That's a good question. I mean, and honestly, New York City should have done it the whole city. That was me being wildly naive and not realizing how many people were there. We should have broken that up into boroughs and done different for the different boroughs or even smaller. So some of it's trial and error, honestly. And then also just years of creating tasks with the task manager and knowing what keeps people motivated. So with these organizations that have these larger ambitions, it's more of, let's scale it down to a size that we can work on the task manager, keep people motivated. So for the Colorado projects with Kaboom, we broke this down to like for those, and that kind of.
Another feedback question on that. I'm wondering, if you start thinking about scaling up to larger projects, I'm wondering if there's a way to sort of have like an augmentation, or you thought about this. You could use machine learning, for example, on satellite imagery that's publicly available to say there might be some people here, right, and then use sort of like that's one way you can start your tasking. I mean, is that a strategy that you've considered? Is it like a resource limitation thing? Like how do you envision scaling past even scale city in the future?
Right. No, it's a great question. I would love to do that. A lot of it's just been It's a fledgling program. So we're just kind of figuring out as we go. And also there's like 3 of us running this whole organization. Yeah, so I mean, working with those tools, and if people have ideas on how we can be doing scaling, I know MapSwipe is doing amazing work with that, and I'd love to be partnering with MapSwipe. That would have been a great partnership for the swimming pools. I think we would have gotten through this a lot faster. And especially like machine learning, it just takes someone in the community who has those skills and can bring that to the project. And we'd be open to figuring out, how we can get that data on the map. Thank you.